always. Should we just get into it though? I mean,
Yeah,
that was our day.
let's just let's just do it. I texted you like when I was almost home. I'm like, I forgot, man. We're gonna have to talk about this. This Penn State shit show again?
Yeah. Uh, it's just so sad because there's been a lot of thoughts I had about through my head, and there's a lot of different avenues we can go into.
Yeah.
But for the sake of not jumping around, first thing, how are we inside the 5 2 times and we can't score the ball? On the first drive, we looked so great. We were churning, we were marching on those boys, and then we just get a field goal, then we get a pick six. Felt on top of the world, Zach. But we got into
Oh
the
my God,
5 yard
bro.
again, and you got to score, and we couldn't score. I mean, what is going on there?
I was listening to Steve. I like to listen to Steve. Um, oh my God. And Zion Tracy. That felt. Uh, why did that felt like it was like we up 10-0. And I was like, that was the. What did I say? I was like, someone needs to be a guy. Someone needs to be a guy. I'm like Zion Tracy. Like that was a play. That was a play.
Mm-hmm.
And then they drove and they scored. I was like, okay, Mbuka, like whatever. But then you just nothing. Like nothing. Like that was supposed to be the spark. Like that gave you hope. Nothing. I have an overall umbrella take that I won't give yet. But yeah, dude, inside the 5 twice. It's inexcusable. Like in the fact that it didn't go to Tyler Warren, who got you there. Like not twice, once. What was his whole come up? His whole come up was Wildcat Warren.
Yeah.
Just give him the ball. He's mad. He just falls forward. He
Yeah.
has like 2-3 yards.
He always falls forward. I don't understand. And I get it. Like I like Nick. I like Singleton.
Yeah, but
Or
they couldn't run
Singleton.
the
I
ball.
like Katron. But like the most obvious thing to do on the goal line is run pass exactly how they did, and they couldn't make that third down pass more obvious that it was going to Warren. And Ohio State blew it up before Drew even left the hands. But
Horrible.
I get wanting to get those guys involved, but you're trying to win a damn football game while you're not putting it in your best offensive player's hands. I love Drew, but Tyler Warren is our best offensive player.
Yes, dude. I can't. They ran. They were on the left hash. They weren't even in the center of the field, and they ran a play that had They ran flood that had everybody going to the left. You
There's no
take away
space.
half the field. Uh, uh, j- j-
It,
what?
and it's the guy we praise, Kolinicky, like getting us like offensively, like we had those that we started off with those 10 points, only scored 3, and I can't even really blame Tom Allen. He held Ohio State to 20
Yeah,
points.
we're fine.
20
I,
points.
if you say Ohio State scores 20 points, I'm like Penn State wins that game.
No doubt. I think if you said that to every single analyst, they'd probably be like, "Oh, so Penn State won by a field goal."
They won. Well, yeah.
Like they're like, "Oh, it was one of those 23-20 games." No, it was actually 20-13. Like it was, to me, that was just it was heartbreaking.
It was.
But then it led to. So we'll talk about the natural progression, I guess, of how I went through, and I guess most Penn State fans went through. So you have that initial shock of like, what the hell? Like we really just lost that game again. You get pissed off about what we just got did. Like we're inside the 5, whatever. And then it all goes to Franklin. I mean, even a fan was yelling at Franklin, and Franklin got into him, which like I get both sides, but what I didn't like most about that video is that the kid turned away, which is such a pussy move, but then Franklin rings the bell and then walks. Like, what are you doing, bro? Also, what are you even doing that in like the first place? Like, of course, drunk college kids are gonna yell at you after losing. It's drunk college kids, 18 to 22-year-olds. Like unless it was something like super offensive, but I'm pretty sure he was just saying, "Geez, Franklin, you fucking suck. You can't beat them," which is like a fair statement. But yeah, then you get mad at Franklin, and then the whole thing of like, oh, he can't win a big game and all that. And I don't know. I think you and I have our stances pretty clear about. I think you're more strongly on Franklin, but the big thing that we said before the season started is who are you going to replace him with? And there's not a good answer really out there. I mean, Signetti maybe, but like maybe now that Ohio State beat Penn State, maybe Ohio State kind of rekindles their season and they're able to make a push in the playoff, and maybe Ryan Day stays. So what does that mean for Cincinnati there? But I don't know. I started thinking a lot, and I had a really good sort of take about it today that I came to the realization is like it's my fault. It's not Franklin's fault. It's my fault because but like Joe Paterno has 409 wins over a crazy amount of years, and I think what 2 or 3 national championships, whatever. I could be so wrong, but basically, what I'm trying to say that I think I overhyped my thoughts of Penn State program to the likes of like Bama, Ohio State, Notre Dame, all these other great sort of programs. Like I think Penn State is that. Well, I'm just slowly starting to realize that I set those expectations way overhead. And Penn State really is more exactly on how they're playing. Like always like really good, but can never really win a big game. Like but I look back at like Paterno's records and it wasn't that great either. I mean, it was definitely better than Franklin, but it wasn't like nothing to go home and tell grandma about. Like it was still brutal records he had against top teams and Ohio State. And I think I just had this disillusioned mind, and I come in every single season, and I said it even last episode. I was delusional enough to think that like we can finally beat them, but we just can't. So then that gets us stuck in this purgatory that we've been in with James Franklin, where like, yeah, we're probably gonna win 10 games, 9, 10 games, but we're gonna lose to Ohio State, Michigan. But we're always gonna have the opportunity to beat them besides maybe like the COVID year or whatnot. We're always going to have that opportunity to beat them. We never will, but our teams are always there. And I just disillusioned to the fact that I think it can be done. So, like, I want to blame Franklin, but I think it's just me putting unrealistic expectations. There's a lot more I want to say, but I know Franklin was a hot topic. I feel like obviously you want him gone.
I don't. Well, yeah. First, let me say,
Yeah,
big
I kind of
time.
rambled there.
No, yeah, like no props. That was a good like segment though. Big time, like that's like self realization right there. That's that's very self aware of you
Yeah.
to say that. And I kind of relate to that in a way, and that's why I was like I just took the emotional investment out of it, and I kind of was like, yeah, this team isn't, yeah, and all that. But then I kind of bought back in, and here I am. But I did think they could do it, and I still think they could have done it. But it's the same thing that happens every single year. And you can point to a play here or a play there, an interception here, a drop there. But when it bare bones, it comes down to it. It's the basic stuff that every fan and most like every person football mind from beyond the TV see, like it's basic stuff that we see that James just cannot see. And yes, Kotelnicki, sure, but like this is I've always said this about James in big games. Like he takes the reins. I don't think it's all Cottle. Like James has a say in the offense. He's a former quarterback. He's a former wide receiver. There's no way he wouldn't. There's just no way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think big games they tend to like clash, and obviously they didn't score an offensive point. Like it's not like they were like they did or a touchdown. Excuse me. But still, I think it is very clearly it's a mental block. It is he sees the Buckeyes or Michigan. He sees big game and like he just shits his pants. It just loses every semblance of wit in his brain. Like he just like blacks out, I think. And he's like, "Okay, we just got to run, run and then like okay, Warren, like this is our best play with Warren. This is what we practiced so many times. We did this like 50 times. It's so easy." Like boom. I don't know. That's just my like analysis, but I have 8 years of proof of this. It's not like a one-time thing. I think it's very clearly evidently mental. Like it has to be. He's
It
not
has
that
to be.
stupid. Like he's not that stupid of a
Yeah.
football coach. Like it's so mental, man. It's it's so mental. Like and it's like it's kind of sad. Like I feel for him in a way. But at the same time, like because we do put a little bit of expectation and pressure.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, like how much is he paid?
He's paid a lot. He's paid a shit ton of money. 80
And
million.
and he talks, he talks the talk after 4th and 5, dude. I was a freshman, and he says this is not a good program. It's a good program. It's a great program. It's not an elite program. And it's
So
8 years later, and we're
so
still
so okay, so there is one caveat where I agree with Franklin on that take and like the whole discussion of good elite. I know that was a little bit ago, but it kind of still pertains.
I agree. I agree with him.
Yeah, James Franklin makes a lot of money, but this is also like James Franklin was the first coach after Bill O'Brien, still dealing with sanctions from the Jerry Sandusky, even when
For sure.
Franklin first started.
Good point.
He got signed up and did that, right?
Yeah.
I think like I think Bill gets underdeserved a little bit by fans, just kind of off bar there. But yeah, Franklin did sort of rise it back into like now we're at least getting in top
Yeah.
five in like the last like 5-8 years that
We're
he's
not a
been there.
we're not like a laughing stock
Yeah, we're
anymore.
not a laughing stock like we once were. Like we're kind of back to that powerhouse. But I think like because of the sanctions and because of Sandy Barber really not knowing what we were doing, we like lost out on the upgrades that like Georgia was able to do, that Alabama was able to do, like Ohio State, like the other sort of big money college programs. We missed out because of sanctions, because there was so much question marks about our football team, and because we threw a lot of money at James Franklin because he won us like a lot of games. We didn't invest that in the facilities. Now, facility is such a loose term, but like Penn State
Yeah.
is like really down low, and like football is especially bad, but really the rest of sports too. I'm not gonna air out what he said, but I was talking to Mike Rhodes about this like a year or two ago, like when he first got the Penn State job, like he was saying how so far behind they were. Micah Shrewsbury harped on it a lot too when he was coaching, and Micah Shrewsbury, I learned today, was also the lowest paid Big Ten coach when we hired him. So like, and that was from a previous athletic director of Sandy Barber. I think Pat Kraft, more of the business mind, more involved and like is passionate, is doing a much better job. But I think it's like unfair to put that all like, oh, James Franco makes $8 million, like whatever. I think it's like much more than that. And like
Yeah.
we just lacked because of previous leadership and because one of our assistant head coaches was a serial pedophile. Like it just sucks, but that's kind of like the reality.
Yeah. That's a great point you bring up. Like you can't like this is why it's always like a love hate thing with James because he's not the worst. Like he's not the worst
Yeah,
coach,
he's not the worst.
but he's not like the best, and he's flawed. And I think like he's 4-17 against Ohio State and Michigan, and the one win is a fluke. And not a fluke, but it's fluky. The
Mm-hmm.
blocked field goal.
Yeah.
Um, and then the just dog shit Michigan teams before the Harbaugh years. And he's 1-22 against top 5 opponents since 2000. That's not all Franklin. Some of it was back in a pie and
I think I saw since 2005, Vanderbilt and Penn State have the same amount of top 5 wins.
and didn't Vandy get theirs this year?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And yeah, like it,
good
and
one.
that's like the whole, but that's like the whole sort of dual edged sword that you want with Franklin. It's
Yeah,
like, it's not like we say hate because we're very passionate and emotional on like game days. But I think if you talk to a Penn State fan like Tuesday or Wednesday, they would lay it out like this: you either keep Franklin, you keep winning like double digit games, and you always have a shot, but end up losing, inevitably losing, because that's just like what history has shown. History repeats itself. Or you fire him and you risk us becoming like Nebraska. Like, just can't find our coach, always in like losing seasons, never really any good. Um, and it's like, which one do you want to risk? Because like I know I mentioned Signetti because he's a hot name right now because there's no way he's going to stay at Indiana. He's way too good of a coach to stay there. But like, I don't know. And then you look at the whole facilities thing. It's like, well, if you're a big time coach, why would you even like want to come to Penn State? Like, why not go to like Oklahoma that has a better name and way better facilities? It's like we think our name carries so much, but it's back to my original point. It's like I think a lot of us Penn State fans have like disillusions ourselves. Like we are not as good as we think, and mostly sports was saying it today. Like because Connor Griffin, friend of Zach, friend of the show, but like obviously a big Penn Stater guy, and they're railing on him. And I think they had a good point. I was like, why are you guys complaining? Like you guys aren't that good, but yet you're still always in like national conversation. And now you have expanded playoffs, so like you're gonna be in. Like if anything, that's successful. And like I don't know, maybe it just finally smacked me in the face. Like I just always thought we'd be like this undefeated team. I thought we'd be like Bama or Georgia, Ohio State, where like we just be dogs. But like maybe we just aren't. Like we just aren't. And I think we have to like accept that.
It's beautifully said. I think it's part of the cult. Like
yeah, it could be.
It's part of the cult, man.
It could be part of the cult. Yeah,
Whether
you're
we
right.
want to admit it or not, we're like we have a share in the Penn State cult.
It's just like I don't know. Maybe it's just part of the cult. It's like if you were going to do something, like we got to be the best at it.
Yeah, you gotta be the best.
And we hold ourselves to being the best.
I mean, it's
probably why we got the most CEOs in the nation.
That's what I'm saying. It's not like a horrible thing to, like a horrible standard to hold yourself to. But yeah, when it comes to these, when it comes to the ones that matter, that's a great point you made about like the sanctions and shit though, because we were behind on everything. We were just finally getting caught up, and then boom, landscape changed.
Yeah,
and now NIL and then transfer portal, and we didn't get the two biggest. We shat on James, but I also think like positionally, but position wise, linebackers obviously was an obvious just flaw, and like the wide receivers, like there was like that interception that was an interception, great play, but like that's got to be a touchdown, bro. Like that's got to be a touchdown. Like
Caden's got to catch that.
Come on, like
and that's also the biggest thing too. Like I would say we lost the game number one because we couldn't score and we didn't give the ball to Tyler Warren, and James Franklin admitted that. And our wide receivers suck, but that was like the whole problem, Zach. We said that all summer when we knew what this roster looked like. They don't like who's gonna be the wide receiver, and we all said that they're like gonna stink. But yet, like Franklin kept on saying, like, "Oh, they're making plays," or "Oh, I'd look out for this guy. He's been whatever." But they've all been terrible. They couldn't get any separation. No. Zero. Zilch.
Nope. I mean, yeah, the offensive plays that they had, it was Warren, and it was like contested and then like run after the catch.
Yeah, and I think it's like I think Nick Singleton, a running back, was our leading receiver, and Tyler Warren, a tight end, was our leading rusher.
Oh, was it him? Because I thought it was Drew. It was Drew for like the whole game.
Could have been Drew. Yeah, probably could have been Drew.
I was like,
dude, that's what I was loving too about the first drive, bro. I was like, man, that knee ain't bothering shit. Like Drew is ready for this.
Yeah,
and like I can't even blame Drew that game.
Dude, even like keep it. Like I would rather him keep it than hand it off. Keep it. Stretch your huge ass across the goal.
He did that. Oh, not in the 5 yard. Not But
instead of handing it off,
he did that on the first drive, and I felt like Leonardo DiCaprio when it's in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I was literally like, oh my god, he finally kept a read. Like at USC, I was like, dog, if you just keep the ball once, you're getting 20 yards. And he finally did it, and I was like, holy shit, like That was like that first drive, dude, had me in so much belief. I was fine that we didn't even score because I was like, you know what? If our offense looks like that all day, we're gonna get touchdowns. Then we get a pick six, and I'm so on top of the fucking world. And then we scored 3 points to end the game. It is just so upsetting.